Hey friends, hello, hello. How are you this morning? Hey Bonnie, long time no see. Good to see you. Good morning, Karen. Glad that you're here. How are you, everybody? Welcome this morning. Welcome. Good morning, John. How are you? Sherry, good morning to you. Hey, Sharon. Good morning to you too. Great. Glad you're well. I hope you are anyway. How are you, everybody? Good morning to see you. It's a great day. All right. Seeing folks come in. I'm going to let you enjoy the fire for a second. Just step away. It's not so bad, is it? Hey, good morning, Linda. How are you? Glad that you're here. Good morning, good morning. Great to see everyone. Hope you are doing well this day. How are you? Hello, everybody. Great to see you. I see one or two folks finding their way in, and we will head along. It's a beautiful day here. The sun's out after we've had some grayness over these past few days, and it's just lovely to begin to feel a little bit of sun. And we're at that age and that time in the year when we kind of discovered that the sun has a little bit of heat in it. You know, where before, like January, it might be sunny, but there's no heat in it. But we're starting to, I think that's one of the, that's one of those things that starts to change around that February 2nd mark. That's one of those Candlemas things that we begin to find there's a little bit more heat in the day, and that there's more heat in the sun, and that brings us again and again back to this reality of no matter where we end up, no matter how cold the night, no matter how dark the storm, no matter how long the winter, spring always comes. And I'm feeling that today as that little sun shines in the window here at me, and a little glare, and there's goodness in it, friends. There's goodness in it. And so I want to welcome you this morning on the 23rd day of February. We're getting towards the end of, almost into March, friends. Hey, Amy, you made it. That's great to see you. Good morning, Donna. Hey, Robin, glad you're here. Everybody, it's so good to see everybody find their way here on this Tuesday morning. So glad you are with us. I would ask, I'd ask for prayers for Amy today, that she's been feeling great and she's been struggling, and also for Shelby, one of our folks that has been who is having a quarantine right now. So please hold her in your prayers as well. So, I made it. I'm so glad, that you are here, and that you continue with us on this journey, because there is so much goodness in this, and I hope you know that the love of this community as it goes forward. So I want to talk a little bit about the guy over my left shoulder, because I also, there's a, I'm taking any opportunities, better here than Charlton for sure, that I want to take any opportunity we can to simply start by kind of cozying up to the fire here. This is a new addition to our library here. Because this room's always been a challenge to heat, and so we've put the gas fireplace in, and it's such a blessing because it transforms the space in so many different ways, and it made me thinking about that just to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about Lex this morning up here, for whom this library is dedicated, and also, but I want to talk about this fire behind me and the way that, this kind of cold and, yes, a fireside chat. How about that? It's been done though. That we might find ourselves in this place, and the way it has been transformed. And I hope you'll find your way in here and you'll get a chance to spend some time in the library and then in the days ahead, and kind of enjoy this, because it is meant to be a gift for us all. And but in that, there's this, it just struck me how powerfully, and I think we do this all the time with spaces, don't we? That, you think about that ugly old room, and then you put a coat of paint on it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's this wonderful space. It is amazing. And this room has always been kind of cold and drab, maybe, even though it's all prettied up and there's been incredible work done and the paint's great and it's beautiful. But there's a way that it's just kind of the darkness and the heaviness and the pieces of it. And this thing has just kind of transformed its being. And those little fires that transform our lives, these little fires that change things in the course of our days. And I think, we've spent a lot of time in the Sunday event talking about the virtues and that sort of, and the pursuit of them over the course of our lives. And cold is a nice word for it. Yes, Linda, it is. It always feels cold. That's the funny thing about it. It doesn't even matter how much heat you stuff into it or how much it just had always this cold feeling. Yes, that's a beautiful way to put it. And yet this little thing behind me here, oh man, is this nice? Yeah, you wish you were me right now. That it is a way of bringing. It has brought life to this room. It's just a little bit of chemical exchange over here going on, and I so want us to think about that metaphor for a moment. That the God and God's presence has always been described to us often as fire. Whether it is early on in Bible with at the very beginning that there's the flaming sword that guards creation and guards paradise, that whether there's the notion of the fire that leads the Israelites out of the Holy Land. There's this, and the fire is really considered this invitation and this moment of encountering the angel. The Exodus puts it this way: it says, "See, I am sending an angel before you to protect you on your journey and to lead you safely to the place I have prepared for you." Now that angel that the Israelites were following in the desert took two forms. It took the form of a pillar of smoke by day, and so they would follow that pillar of smoke. And that is the direction that they were to go. And by night, it was a pillar of fire. And as they rested at night, there was the pillar of fire that would be on the horizon. And these two things were the things that guided them through the wilderness of their lives. After they had escaped the slavery of Pharaoh, crossed the Red Sea, and came to this place, this foreign place, unknown, scary. Which is the biggest thing that you find in the Israelite account. They're constantly in worry. They're constantly in even wishing they could go back. wishing they could go back to a good old day when they were in the flesh pots of Egypt because the food was better, because that even though they were in slavery, they knew what to expect, but they were dealing with the uncertainty of the day and the uncertainty and the worry of the moment. And in that uncertainty, God gave them the pillar of smoke by day and the pillar of fire by night, which changed everything. It changed everything. A little like this room, I think, that it's seemingly always cold, even when it didn't. That it changes the space. The architects who built this building knew what they were doing. That they knew that this was a room that needed fire. This is that it, and I think we're in life. We need fire. We're people who need fire. We're born for fire. We're born to know to live a fired up life. And it's always this shrinking and this remembering that the shrinking that gets us in trouble, and the failing to remember that loses us, that God has sent an angel. This isn't just a promise for the Israelites a long time ago. I really believe this. I mean, this isn't just a promise for this is that place and that time when the Israelites were out doing their thing. But this image of I have sent you an angel before you to protect you on your journey and to lead you safely to the place I have prepared for you. Friends, we're pilgrim people. We're being led someplace. We're not here to camp out on the road and just try and just wait for it to be over. We are invited to move. We've got a place prepared for us, and that we have a journey in it with an angel that goes before us, with a God that prepares something special out there. And it really just calls us to look for the fire. To look for the fire wherever we can find it, to place the fire in the places it is needed in our life. That it's so easy to get into the forgetting, to get into the contracting, to get into the worry, to get into the longing for the flesh pots of old, of how it used to be. I want to invite you right now to step into courage. To step into the courage, not as an absence of fear. It's not like, we don't build fires because we don't have cold in our life. We build fires because we do have cold. We put this in because there was a cold space that needed warmth. Where's the cold space in your life that you feel like you can't, that there's just no life in it? There's that there's nothing but contracting. There's nothing but loss or worry. I mean, that's the big one, isn't it? That anxiety that eats at us. The great Anais Nin says that life shrinks or expands in proportion to courage. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to courage. There's an angel set before our lives. There's an angel set to guide us into the places and the parts of our lives where we have yet undiscovered, the undiscovered country that stands before us, the wilderness of our days, the unknown of this time. And we're called to build a fire in it. And not just that we've got to generate this fire, like I got to get my engine going and I got to make sure it's that we have to commit ourselves to another act of will. No, quite the difference. Ours is to find out, to look around, and invite in the fire that God has placed there. We may have built a fire in it, but that fireplace been there since this building started. That fireplace was waiting for somebody to kindle something in it. That fireplace has been waiting for a long time. That I've had people, lifelong members of this church, saying, I believed I would go to my grave never seeing fire in that fireplace. What part of our lives are we looking at right now and saying, I think I will go to my grave without seeing fire in that place? Friends, I think that if we've declared those things off limits, if we've declared those things unhelpable, if we've declared those things unsavable, or just that has gone to pass and to be a part of our lives, we've shrunk our lives unwillingly and unnecessarily. But that the invitation is to find the fire, to find that angel that's working in a part of our lives, to find that little column of smoke by day. Now, what's a column of smoke? Well, maybe it's the place where things aren't as clear. Maybe it's the place where things seem to coalesce in chaos. Maybe they're the things that continue to niggle and to work at you when you would prefer that they didn't. Maybe they're the places where the rest of the horizon of your life is clear, but those are the places where you found that you just can't see straight. Go into those little spots of smoke. Go into those little places. And you will find in the nighttime of your terror, in the nighttime of your lostness, in the nighttime of your wilderness, you will find the very fire that is kindled by the angel of God for you to lead. This is the promise God makes us again and again and again and again. And I don't know about you, but in my life it is borne out innumerable times that just when I think nothing can be done with something, that just when I think that the world has gone cold and the room is abandoned and it will never be found to be right again, it's those moments that seem to shift from day to dawn, from cloudy confusion to brilliance of light in the darkness. It's those moments that we're made for to be as a pilgrim people. It's those moments that we're called to follow. And remember, the whole point of the journey is to be brought to that promised land moment, to be brought to that place where they survey the whole of the vista ahead of them. And even though Moses knows he's not going to make it, the command goes to Joshua to say, be strong and of good courage. Be strong and of good courage, for the Lord your God is with you. If we follow out the messages, the little messages of fire in our lives, if we can walk out those little pinpricks of light in the horizon, if we can just go into the smoke when we're unwilling and afraid to do so, and even in our dissatisfaction, especially, friends, in our dissatisfaction, we'll find ourselves on a whole new horizon with a land promised to us flowing with milk and honey, flowing with goodness and strength and wholeness. And in that, we can find ourselves not just with a little angel to follow, but we can find ourselves with the presence of God Almighty with us. That's the invitation for today. I wanted to show off Lex King Suter here behind me. You know, and I want to offer you this. I'll close this today with a story. I didn't know if I was going to tell it or not, but I think I want to tell it. And I told it before, but I want to revisit it because I think it's a powerful thing. That in this very space, this before it was the Suter Library, this was the pastor's office. In fact, it's been the pastor's office longer than it's been the Suter Library. But and when this man right here, Lex King Suter, who just an incredibly storied guy. I'll save you all of there's so many stories about him throughout the city and throughout the town that still persevere in what he offered. But there's one that particularly touches my heart. That when World War II broke out, he was the pastor of this church. And he could have very easily been called into the chaplaincy and into the army to serve in the role of chaplain, but he didn't. He actually went and served as a line officer. He was actually an intelligence officer with one of the most decorated bomber groups in the Pacific Theater. They would end up being on Guadalcanal, fighting some of the most terrific fighting of this war, of World War II. And he would, and one Easter morning, the story is told by one of his associates at the time. I'm just going to grab us here. Is that he stood right here, right in that spot. And he looked out that window at that school across the street. And he cried tears. Tears went down his face. And when his associate asked him, what's the matter, Mr. Suter? He said he was reflecting on the time that he had spent in the army, spent the time that and he says, as he was preparing, I noticed this, as he was just getting ready to step off to preach his Easter sermon, tears went down his face. And he said, I have killed men. How is it that I should know the love of God? How is it that I should know this? I don't have the answer to that question, but I do know that God's love and that God's grace for him and that God's peace for him was ever and always extended as he continued to follow that little angel of light. Nobody's reported what his Easter sermon was on that Sunday. Nobody knows what it was that he brought up about this incredible story of we as Christian people declare that a man who was dead 3 days, raised from the dead as the very Son of God, immortal, so that we too all may be immortal, and that we may be his children called home. Just in the same way that Lex up there is his child called home. And when we look at this portrait, we should know in inspiration that he continued to walk out all of his life the following of that beautiful moment of the angel with a little flame guiding him forward through his grief, through his despair, through his brokenness, through his difficulty, through his post-traumatic stress, if we're going to call it that. And these days, he continued to walk on the cloudy days when the tears flowed, and on the brilliant days when he would, a few hours later, come to preach an Easter sermon. But in all those days, he knew that the light of God illuminated his way. And so I hope you'll remember old Lex occasionally, that it was his light, and that guided this church in its day and guides us in ours. And it was God's love for us and for him and for all of us that guides us home as well. So we are lucky to have a little fire in our midst. And I hope you will cultivate a little fire in your midst. That whatever those dark places are, whatever those cloudy moments are, whatever they are, take a leaf out of Lex King Suter's book. Let your tears flow. And then go preach your Easter sermon. Peace and grace, my friends. So glad you're with me today.